Got to look for the gong for a moment. It's usually on my right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special City Club program. It's a post-election program. I'm Ralph Delarado, the president of the City Club, and I'm pleased that you've joined us here today for what should be a very, very interesting afternoon. Established in October of 1912, the City Club has served as one of the nation's premier public podiums for civic dialogue, covering the most important topics of our time. We draw our guest speakers from a variety of fields and backgrounds, providing a national forum of free speech. These speakers are rich in experience and knowledge and are here to spur discussion and learning, not just amongst the citizens of Cleveland, but as well as to our greater national audience. You know, our nation has just participated in what is widely being called an historic election, a change of great importance in the way our country will be governed. The candidates included a minority, a woman, and someone who would have become our oldest president. So naturally, the issues of race, the qualifications of the vice president, and experience became just as important, it seems, during the campaign as positions on health care, Social Security, and education. Or did they, in fact? Clearly, the overriding issue was the economy. Well, as we all try to assess what it all means, we are very pleased to have a City Club panel to help us gain understanding and valuable insight about this remarkable election and what lies ahead, most importantly. We're delighted to welcome a panel of three of the best experts we could assemble to look at the various races, national, state, and local, and to slice into those interesting interpretations that pundits and political junkies like to chew on over and over and over. Joining us from Zogby International, one of the world's top public opinion research firms, is Fritz Wenzel, Zogby's Director of Communications. For those who don't know Zogby does polling and market research, providing information and business solutions worldwide, and conducts research in North America, Latin America, the Middle East, Asia, and Europe. Mr. Wenzel has wide experience in the fields of journalism, media, and political and media consultation. He has worked as a news and political reporter for 21 years. Also, we welcome Dr. John Green, Director of the Bliss Institute of Applied Politics and Distinguished Professor of Political Science at the University of Akron. John will provide insight about both national and state races. Dr. Green is particularly well known for his work on religion and politics. He is one of the most highly respected experts about both Ohio and national politics, and he's frequently quoted in the national media. One sees his observations often in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and many, many other publications. We're delighted to have John join us here at the City Club podium today. And then rounding out our panel is Joe Frolik, Associate Editor of the Plain Dealer. Joe joined the Plain Dealer's editorial board in February 2001 after more than 12 years as its national correspondent. He has written primarily about politics and government in Cleveland and Cuyahoga County and about economic development in Northeast Ohio. From 1995 to 2000, Joe also coordinated the newspaper's public opinion polling. I think you'll agree that we have three terrific people to look at Tuesday's results. The way we're going to proceed is that each panelist will provide a few minutes of their own observations, and then we'll have a roundtable discussion amongst themselves. They probably don't know any better than we do where this thing will head, but we will get to listen in as these three highly informed analysts compare their thoughts. Then, after the break, as always, we, the audience, will have the opportunity to ask our customary City Club questions. So let's start with some of the big picture national results. And Fritz Wenzel, I'm going to welcome you to the City Club, and would you begin?
You bet. Thank you. We at Zogby had a really enjoyable time polling this race in particular because of all the interesting facets to it, the new types of candidates, the new dramatic issues that came to the fore in the closing weeks. But really this election for us became a tale of two polls that we conducted. The first one was what we called a benchmark poll that we conducted in April of 2007. A benchmark poll is a survey that kind of looks at everything, includes everything, including the kitchen sink, and from there you can find out what's important to the American people. Our focus at Zogby mainly at that point was, what are people thinking, and how is that going to form a foundation for how these presidential candidates actually run their campaigns? And will it tell us who is likely to be the nominee of both parties? So what we found in that survey was that Americans, now remember, this was taken about 2 weeks before the immigration issue just exploded, and that, remember those May Day protests across the Southwest and in other parts of the country? Well, this was right before that, so it's post-Abu Ghraib, it's post-Katrina, but pre-immigration explosion. And so we found that three qualities America wanted in their president. They wanted someone who could reach across the aisle, they wanted a strong commander-in-chief, and they wanted a competent manager. Above all, they wanted a competent manager in the White House. That was seen as the greatest weakness of the Bush administration. And so we watched the early workings of the primaries come out, and right before the primaries began, the caucuses began, we did another poll. And we found that there was, no great surprise, this incredible anger that was starting to bubble to the surface. It had been there for years, but it really started to boil over the immigration crisis. But immigration receded as an issue in the fall, but the anger did not recede. And so this poll, taken December 15th of 2007, we found that this anger was so incredible that it was going to change the way campaigns were waged in America in 2008. So those two surveys gave us a real good landscape for where we were going. From that second survey, we determined it was going to be impossible for any of these campaigns to run a negative, attack-oriented effort and still win their nominations. And then look what happened in short order after that. Romney attacks Huckabee, doesn't work. Romney attacks McCain in New Hampshire, doesn't work. Romney essentially goes down in flames. Look at what happened to Hillary Clinton when she turned on Obama in the midst of the primaries. Negative campaigning, as artfully as it was done, did not work in 2008. You might look back now and wonder why. Well, the reason was the American electorate doesn't like Washington at all right now. And if you're going to throw mud at another guy and we don't like either of you, we hate you more. So that's what happened. That's why it didn't work. It may well work in the future, but it wasn't ready to work in 2008 because the audience, the voters, were not ready to deal with that. Incredible dissatisfaction across the country. But if you look back to the April 2007 survey, look what we had in the nominees. You had someone who could reach across the aisle, and both candidates were claiming to be able to do that. Obama doesn't have much of a track record, but McCain clearly does. You have the strongest commander-in-chief prospect in John McCain. He didn't, of course, win, but that's largely because terrorism and the war didn't become an issue. In the closing weeks of the campaign, we were asking, what are the most important issues? And of course, the economy, an incredible 62% told us the economy is the most important issue. We never see agreement across the board on that. But where was the war in Iraq? This is one of the issues that got McCain the nomination. 4% said it was the most important issue. 9%